Well, it looks like after being outed for giving employees race-based critical race theory training, Disney has quietly removed it, just like Coca-Cola before them. Isn't it interesting? Once these corporations get outed for trying to brainwash their employees, they immediately fold. Why? Because they know they shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. If they thought that they should have been indoctrinating their employees who sell chorizos about white privilege, then why did they remove it? Now, Christopher Ruffo, has been kind of laying out all of this training that the Walt Disney Corporation has been quietly giving to its employees. And as of today, I'm happy to report, I suppose, that they have removed it. More whistleblowers now, please. By the way, if you haven't yet and you're watching this channel, there's a red subscribe button down below the video. Please do consider clicking it. It's the only way you'll really find my videos. YouTube does not recommend them, and I would really appreciate it. I also have new profiles on Telegram, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, whatever you use, you can find me there. And I'll leave those linked in the description or in the pinned comment as well. So Chris put out this article on May 6th. This whole saga started about a week ago. The Walt Disney Corporation famously bills its amusement parks as the happiest place on earth, but inside the company's headquarters, a conflict is brewing. In the past year, Disney executives have elevated the ideology of critical race theory into a new corporate dogma and bombarded employees with trainings on systemic racism, white privilege, white fragility, white saviors, and launched racially segregated affinity groups at the company's headquarters. Quote, I have obtained a trove of whistleblower documents related to Disney's, quote, diversity and inclusion program called, quote, Reimagine Tomorrow, which paints a disturbing picture of the company's embrace of racial politics. Although the intention of the program might be noble, multiple Disney employees who requested anonymity out of fear of reprisals told me that the Reimagine Tomorrow program has become deeply politicized and engulfed parts of the company in racial conflict. Imagine just wanting to sell some Dippin' Dots, just wanting to work for the summer and run the Dumbo ride or Splash Mountain, but then having to spend hours of your day being berated with bizarre politics, brainwashed with propaganda. The core of Disney's racial program is a series of training modules on anti-racism. One module called Allyship for Race Consciousness, the company tells employees that they must, quote, take ownership of educating themselves about structural anti-black racism, and that they should not rely on their black colleagues to educate them, because it's emotionally taxing. In the United States, the document claims has a long history of systemic racism and transphobia, and white employees in particular must walk through feelings of guilt, shame, and defensiveness to understand what is beneath them and what needs to be healed. No, listen, you are not responsible for other people's opinions or bad behavior. Even if, I know this might shock you, you have the same skin color as they do. This is one of the most ridiculous, reductive, absurd ideologies that I've come across since third wave feminism. I mean, seriously, this is disgusting. What this is trying to shame, let's just be honest, this is trying to shame white people for being white, for shaming white employees for the sins of their fellow white brethren, things that they had nothing to do with. The idea that I would bear any responsibility for what another white person did 500 years ago is absolute absurdity. When you look at the roots of this kind of programming, it falls apart because you just need to ask that one question. Exactly what did I do that has anything to do with slavery? Why on God's green earth would I even hear your absurd demands for reparations? I had nothing to do with it. Why would I have to answer for some other random white dude's transphobia? I support people living their best life. That includes trans folks, and that includes people of all skin colors and religions. So guess what? I'm not going to feel guilty for just because some super huge mega corporation tells me I'm supposed to. Oh, by the way, Disney, still thanking the Chinese propaganda division that covers up the literal ongoing concentration camps right now? Okay, so let's just dial back the moral compass. Disney, all right? And another module called What Can I Do About Racism? Disney tells employees they should reject equality with a focus on equal treatment and access to opportunities, and instead drive for equity with a focus on equality of outcome. So regardless of your, let's just say this is like the same energy as like check boxes for hiring. We don't care if you're the best candidate for the job, but you're the right skin color, so you get the job. What is that? Who does that help, by the way? You're getting a substandard employee, most likely. And by the way, this goes for all colors, right? If there were this isn't just saying because somebody's non-white, they're not the best candidate. It's entirely possible and plausible that any skin color will be the best person for the job. You know what I'm saying? But the idea that because you're the right skin color, that you're automatically the right person for the job is absurd. It doesn't work. It's hilarious that anybody thinks that way. The same goes for the idea that, because you're a certain skin color, you're supposed to pay for the sins of everyone else with the same skin color as you. I'm sorry, but in America, and I have no responsibility to deal with any of your crap, all right? I live my best life. I try to live a righteous one. I try to live a fair and understanding one. I try to live one of growth and personal reflection. But I'm going to stop short of feeling bad for what some other white dude did 100 years ago. It's absolutely ridiculous. And Chris has been pointing all this out. In fact, Disney responds with a ridiculous gaslighting statement. These internal documents are being deliberately distorted as reflective of company policy when, in fact, their purpose was to allow diversity of thought, no they weren't, and discussion on the incredibly complex and challenging issues of race and discrimination that we as a society and companies nationwide are facing. I'm sorry, but it isn't Disney Corporation's job to edify their employees on these things. The Disney brand has a long history of inclusivity with stories that reflect acceptance and tolerance and celebrate people's differences. Bull. As we have constantly demonstrated in such films as Mona, Coco, Black Panther, Soul, and Raya. You mean Black Panther where you cover up the black man's face to get those China bucks? I mean, this whole statement is ridiculous. And there's 8 hilarious things to be debunked in it. 1, I published no direct quotations, contextual screenshots, the original source documents in their entirety. None of it was, quote, distorted. The anti-racism program was branded with Disney's logo, endorsed by executives, and disseminated through the company's internal portal. That makes it, quote, company policy. Disney employees told me that conservative and Christian employees are actively discouraged from voicing their opinions. Anti-racism program does not encourage diversity of thought in any of its documentation. The anti-racism program does not encourage discussion about complex and challenging issues. It reduces discussion to a series of prepackaged talking points and tells employees not to question the opinions of certain colleagues. Disney does not have a long history of inclusivity for all groups. The company has used slave labor and child labor to manufacture products, film Mulan near Uyghur concentration camps, censored content for the CCP, shrunk black actor and Chinese promotional materials. According to the video I obtained, Disney executive claims that the company has created racist content, which are by definition not stories that reflect acceptance and tolerance. Disney claims that they have a long history of supporting inclusion, but the titles to the list as evidence were all released within the past 5 years. Disney has claims that they committed in the portraying the rich diversity of human experience. This is a noble goal, but an evasion from the claims about its discriminatory human resources program. And I am happy to report right now, Walt Disney Company has now removed the entire anti-racism program from the company's internal portal. Now, did they just move it? Are they going to rebrand it? Are they going to bring it back under a different name? I suppose that's all possible. But ultimately, this is a $330 billion company changing their hiring practices. I mean, this is hilarious. This is a company that Disney's top executives are 4 white males with a net worth of over $1 billion. Yet they encourage their hourly wage employees to complete, quote, white privilege checklists, work through feelings of guilt, shame, and divisiveness about their whiteness. Why? Look, there's no problem. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being black, white, orange, blue, or purple. This is who you're born. You have no choice in that. The idea that because you're white, you're supposed to feel bad about things is absolutely ridiculous. Disney went from making preposterous defensive statement to nuking their entire critical race theory program in less than 24 hours. Corporate DEI is a scam. It's used to launder corporate reputations and divide Americans into competing racial categories. Shut it down. I 100% agree with that. 100% agree with that. You shouldn't feel bad about who you are, your inalienable characteristics, immutable characteristics. And I don't know why that seems so crazy to say, but stop giving Disney your money until they stop promoting this kind of garbage, because corporate America, just like Coca-Cola and Disney, their job is not to reform and indoctrinate their employees. It's to provide a service. And until such a point companies get back to doing that, they'll receive zero of my dollars and should receive zero of your dollars. If you like the work I'm doing, I ask only that you consider going over to subscribestar.com/thequartering, which is linked in my description. Your support is paramount to keeping this channel cranking. And, you know, even $1 or $2 a month goes a mile. Please support work that you enjoy. I hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.